one loses respect for being weak. They lose it for trying too hard to look strong. Is that controversial? Maybe. But think about it. How many times have you over-explained, over-justified, tried too hard to prove yourself, and still ended up being ignored? The truth is almost counterintuitive. Respect is not begged for, not negotiated, and most importantly, not demanded. It is built through a strategic mindset, through silent self-confidence, and through psychological power that very few people consciously develop. Most people believe that commanding respect means speaking loudly, being harsh, confronting everything head-on. Machiavelli saw it differently. He understood that real dominance is born from posture, from reading the room, from the ability to become almost unreadable when necessary. Does that sound cold? In reality, it's liberating, because once you understand this, your personal transformation accelerates, and you stop depending on other people's approval to feel unshakable. And here is the direct promise. If you truly understand what will be shown in this video, you will never again need to convince anyone of your value. People will feel it. Not because you asked them to, but because your presence changed. And the most interesting part? That change starts from the inside out. And you may never see yourself the same way again after today. He learned early that a strong mindset is not built from beautiful speeches, but from uncomfortable repetition. There is no point in talking about self-confidence if, when fear shows up, he retreats. True personal transformation begins when someone decides to do exactly what they have avoided for years. It's interesting, isn't it? Psychological power grows every time he confronts what once felt unshakable inside his own mind. Fear, which once seemed like an unreadable monster, begins to shrink when challenged daily. He did not wait to feel ready. He acted first and felt ready later. When he feared public speaking, he began volunteering for small presentations at work. He started with 5 minutes, then 10, then an entire meeting. That's how dominance is built, step by step. Anyone who wants to strengthen self-confidence can do the same. Enroll in a public speaking course, record short videos daily, or even read passages from Think and Grow Rich out loud, training posture and tone. Mindset changes when action becomes habit, not when motivation appears. There is something almost magical but completely practical about this. By repeating what scares him, he rewires his brain. What once felt like a threat becomes training. What once felt like panic becomes process. That personal transformation creates a more unshakable posture, because now he knows he survives discomfort. And the more he acts, the less he needs to prove anything with words. When self-confidence is born from practice, a different kind of silence emerges. And that is where the next layer of psychological power begins. He discovered that a strong mindset is not about speaking louder, but about remaining whole when everyone else loses control. While many try to command respect by over-explaining, over-justifying, almost begging to be understood, he does the opposite. True self-confidence reveals itself in calm, in that almost unshakable posture that does not need to defend itself against every provocation. Psychological power lies in choosing not to react automatically. And ironically, when he stops trying to look strong, he begins to exercise real dominance. In a work environment, for example, when someone criticizes him publicly, he does not immediately confront them. He breathes, listens to the end, and responds with few words. Objective, almost emotionally unreadable. That is not coldness, that is strategy. Anyone who wants to develop this personal transformation can practice something simple. Wait 5 seconds before responding to any provocation. Reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius and applying the idea that control lies in interpretation, not in events, also strengthens this mindset. Over time, presence becomes stronger than any heated argument. The most interesting part is that when he stops reacting impulsively, he begins to observe the game more clearly. He perceives hidden intentions, understands dynamics, reads the environment with greater clarity. Calm makes him almost unreadable, and that expands his dominance over his own posture. Self-confidence strengthens not because he wins arguments, but because he wins over himself. And when someone learns to control their own reactions, they begin to see that even rejection can be used as fuel. It took him time to understand that rejection was not an attack on his identity, but a test of mindset. Each no he received initially felt like confirmation that he was not enough. But over time, he noticed something interesting. People with unshakable self-confidence do not avoid rejection. They collect it. There is a form of psychological power hidden there, almost unreadable to those who react with wounded pride. True personal transformation begins when he decides that rejection does not diminish him, it refines him. When he was denied a promotion, instead of shutting down, he asked for specific feedback. He asked what he needed to improve, which skills were lacking, where he could demonstrate greater dominance. This is practical. Anyone who wants to strengthen self-confidence can do the same after a job interview, a rejected project, or even the end of a relationship. Turning a no into strategic data completely changes mindset. He began to see every rejection as advanced training, not a final verdict. Over time, something changed inside him. Rejection no longer hurt the way it once did. It strengthened his unshakable posture. He no longer needed to be accepted by everyone, because his psychological power came from within, not from external approval. And the more emotionally independent he became, the firmer and more silently dominant his behavior grew. That is when he realized that true authority does not shout, does not beg, does not impose itself by force. It simply occupies space naturally. He realized that true authority does not make noise. It does not walk into a room trying to prove anything. It does not force laughter. It does not seek validation. The mindset of someone who has developed solid self-confidence is different. He understands that the strongest psychological power is the one that does not need to be announced. There is something almost unshakable about the posture of someone who speaks little, observes much, and chooses the right moment to act. To many, this presence feels almost unreadable, and that is precisely why it commands immediate respect. In a group of agitated people, he does not compete for attention. He listens, analyzes, and when he decides to speak, he is direct, clear, surgical. That is emotional and strategic dominance at the same time. Anyone who wants to develop this personal transformation can start by practicing something simple. Cut unnecessary explanations in half and double the quality of the questions you ask. Reading The Prince by Machiavelli, or studying nonverbal communication, completely shifts mindset about influence. Silent authority is born from coherence between posture, gaze, and action. Over time, he realizes he does not need to raise his voice to be heard. His self-confidence does not depend on volume, but on consistency. The environment begins to adjust to his energy, not the other way around. This kind of psychological power creates a firm, almost magnetic presence, unshakable by superficial opinions. And when someone reaches this level of internal dominance, they understand that commanding respect was never about external force. It was always about internal construction. Now let me ask you honestly, will you continue trying to be respected? Or will you begin becoming someone impossible to ignore? Because mindset does not change through beautiful phrases. It changes through decision. Self-confidence is not born ready. It is built in discomfort. And the psychological power that transforms an ordinary person into someone unshakable is available, but only for those who practice, not for those who merely watch. How many situations do you still react to impulsively? How many rejections have you allowed to define your identity? How much of your personal dominance have you surrendered trying to please others? Personal transformation begins the moment you decide you will no longer be hostage to other people's opinions. And when you become calmer, more strategic, more emotionally unreadable, respect stops being a struggle and becomes a consequence. Now tell me, are you willing to apply this today? If this content awakens something in you, do not stop here. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and continue this journey of building mindset, self-confidence, and emotional dominance. Because the one who learns to control himself never again accepts living small.